I'm Gloria Caoile, and I am, as you can see, a Phil-Am. I'm Filipino-American. I'm affiliated with an organization called the National Federation of Filipino-American Associations, of which I am very proud to be part of putting it together, establishing it with a great gentleman named Alex Esclamado, who has since passed away, but this is his legacy. He traveled around the country to promote Filipino Americans and get them really active, and engaged in, the political aspects here in this country. I am also one of the co-founders of an organization called Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance. I have been in the labor movement for over 30 years. It really dates me. But what I'm proud about with this is that we were able to convince the House of Labor, the AFL-CIO, that Asian Pacific Americans need representation. As a matter of fact, I am very passionate about helping workers who really need to realize that they have a voice and that they should need it. So there are many other organizations I am also still affiliated with that empowers, for example, women, empowers, folks in the workforce, and Filipino Americans in general who have now come here to get started in life. So, and having said that, more important, really, I'm a grandmother of a 10-year-old who just tries me really very hard and tests me. So that is the love of our life. I have one daughter, Melanie, who has really, made us proud. Growing up, I always thought that, oh my gosh, I am such in the workforce, and so is my husband, Ben. Maybe there's something we're missing with her growing up. But through the years, I realized and I recognized the fact, as I hear her now in the workforce and with community, that she was listening. All this time, she was listening to what we were doing. And, sometimes my absence because of travel with work, was an education for her as well. So all in all, life is good. I'm retired now from the labor movement. I'm retired from being salaried. I am now the perennial volunteer, and I'm very passionate about working for the Filipino-American community and uplifting them. So with that is me. I worked for this woman, Anna Chenault. She was the wife of General Claire Lee Chenault of the Flying Tigers. She was petite. She was hardly 5 foot. She's, I think, 4'11". She walked with such a fast face. When I started to work for her, I observed her, and then I recognized the fact that she was such a force with members of Congress. I mean, they gravitated to her and always asked her for her opinion, asked her if there was something they can do for her. And I'm saying to myself, she uses her voice. And so I guess it is okay. So there are no boundaries as to who you are. The boundaries are set by yourself. So if you do that, then you won't have a voice. And she created an impact. But at home, I have 3 other sisters that followed me, and they are all vocal. They are all opinionated. Conversation in the house was always about who's right and who's wrong or who got there first. But they all contributed to really having me engaged and making sure that I am giving back, that I really understand, what my role is. But most of all, our mother was, a spitfire. She took no grief from anybody. And she was the one that really impassioned us and taught us that it is you who will really dictate your future. And because if you let somebody else put clouds over you, it won't happen. She was a strong woman. When I meet Filipinos who come just recently from the Philippines because they want a better life, I listen to their stories. And their stories are always about, I want to be better because I want to help my family. It is always about family. I don't think I have ever heard any Filipino or any Filipino American for that matter who said to me, oh, I want to be because I know I can be, for myself. I have never heard that. So when you hear the passion in their voices and in what they do and what they envision themselves to do, I say to myself, you should be helped. If there's something I can do to help you get your goals, why not? It doesn't take away anything from me except time, And when time is well spent, you don't feel bad about it. But if you waste it, you can never get it back. NAFA has evolved in its own pace. And, I won't sugarcoat this because I'm passionate about it. When it first started, we had leaders like I mentioned, Alex Escalma. He traveled the whole country, talking about the unification of Filipino Americans around the country, how it was very, very important to have a voice, and I learned from him, the voice is about us saying we're not visitors here, because we are in every fragment, in every segment of what this country makes it great. We are healthcare providers, we're small business owners, we are, workers, here in Nevada. I walk into a hotel and I see Filipinos who make it the best hotel it is, or the best casino it is, or the best restaurant it is. And we take pride in that work. Now, NAFA has evolved with leaders like John Milagrito. John was established, was set in his own world in the employment that he had. We talked him out of it. We talked him to come and be the first executive director of NAFA. Understanding what NAFA was about and what we hoped it to be, he packed up, his employment and started with us. We had a rocky road ahead of us because to have an established organization, you need funds and you need to have a record of who you are. But through the years, NAFA has evolved into an organization that is recognized in Washington, D.C. And for that matter, I was passionate about telling Alex, who's from San Francisco, that the office has to be in Washington because that's where all the other APIA organizations are, and then because that's where the White House is. Now, whoever is the head of White House, our presence is much needed because we should understand that we need to strive hard to be at that table where policies are made and not just serving the table. I am really strong about that. And so through the years, the leadership has evolved, has changed, but it has grown also nationally to establish organizations or state chapters. And for example, in Nevada's state chapter is a rock star. I'm telling you. I'm sure if other folks in other states hear this, they will agree. They will agree because we have made an impact in what NAFA is all about. I'm not saying that other states are not, but through its evolving in different stages, NAFA has always tried to be all-inclusive and to be part of, the whole Asian Pacific American gamut. And we are there. Now, are there things that need to be done? When it is an all-volunteer program, sometimes we miss, a few things. But I am telling you, from when we started to where we are today, we have made leaps and bounds, We have, for example, been very proactive in hate crime activities, whereas once upon a time we thought, well, it's not for us. But see, when it affected one of our very own here, we rose to the occasion. And that's what NAFA is, NAFA's leadership has been strong. We are now also engaged, as the previous president in CEO was a young gentleman, and we're evolving now into that it should be led by millennials, and we're good. We're good. I mean, folks know us. Folks talk about us, and I think to me that's a measure of being really relevant. This country celebrates many events. For example, March is Women's History Month. So there is a program here that NAFA Nevada has also instituted where we honor Filipina women in our community for all the contributions that have made. And it's resonated in the community in the sense that they have pride in what they do. And we search for women that sometimes feel, oh, I really don't make a national impact, or I don't, really do the things that will warrant being awarded. But when you start something that is helpful to others, that's already a measure of, your thinking about the community at large. We have the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month in May, where we have participation in actually many schools where we go and tell them about the Philippines. What is the Philippines? What is her history? Where are we? Then, June is the Philippine Independence Gala, where we gather all the organizations together and also recognize who has made inroads. For example, the Philippine Nurses Association. I mean, we need to shout them out. During COVID, they were the heroes. They're the heroes of our community. And, sometimes they're shortchanged because people say, well, that's your job. Well, no, they could have said, well, I'm staying home because I don't want to be affected. I have a right to also do that. But they stayed engaged, and they were the ones to meet really the heroes. And we don't recognize this so much. So, during Nurses Months, we shout them out, and through the years and through the months, not just one day of the year. Now, we also, in month of May, have Teachers Month, So, in this state, we, and pardon this word, but we parachute teachers from the Philippines here for a 2-year term because they are embedded into the school system. And most of our teachers from the Philippines hold J1 visas, and their tenure is 2 years. And not to sidebar from them, but we're also fighting to make that term longer. And because they need a longer term. They didn't just come here because on a whim and just, I want to be a teacher. These folks, the teachers who come here, have a dream, have the American dream, and also they spend a lot. They put a lot of their families, funds to get here, and 2 years is not enough to repay everything. And those teachers that come here, they're also still thinking, well, I'm helping home, I'm helping back home. But so those teachers are sometimes not recognized for what they are. They think of them as just employees. Well, and when I heard someone say, well, why should they complain? We're giving them jobs. I said, no, they're not complaining, but you should recognize the fact that they are taking the jobs that nobody wants here because it's special education, most of them. I said, and that is key to what makes the education system here thrive, But the list goes on, and we've got, October is coming up. We've got the Philippine American History Month, of which we have, a lot of events going on to honor that. But the best part about all this now is because we have now inroads, and the political landscape here in Nevada has changed. For example, I mentioned Philippine American History Month. We have a gentleman, Sonny Venuya, who's now in the governor's office. He is the outreach director for the communities here. Then we have a woman in the assembly now, Erica Mosca, who is a teacher by trade, but an assemblywoman who truly fights for us. So those are the kinds of, accomplishments we just shout out. And NAFA is very much in the forefront of making those things possible and happen. But of course, I won't, shy about this. Gosh, like any other state, probably, we have many, many Filipino-American organizations here, okay? And I will allude to this right now. Sometimes folks always say that because we're not organized, we're not together, we're not one. That is not true. Because, our diversity, our Filipino diversity is because we have Ilocanos, Kapampangans, Caviteños, and all. But those are great assets to us. That's what makes us great. That's what makes us better, because we bring to the table different aspects of our origins, of where we've been, and we have different, ways of really being Filipinos. But at the end of the day, we're one. We're one Filipinos. We're one Filipino Americans. It has evolved to being a recognized community and a recognized group of folks, Filipino Americans in business. And I mentioned earlier the nurses and the teachers. But, our being Filipino is now not an anomaly anymore. We are a strong force. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, we had a candidates forum where we invited all candidates running for office. This resounding message to us and the resounding recognition for the first time ever was, we know you are a voting bloc that's needed. So our numbers are great. We have close to 200,000 Filipino Americans in Nevada. Of course, it's Clark County, it's Washoe, but Clark County, of which where we are now, is the strongest. And so that message alone from them validates who we are. And it will also validate what NAFA is trying to really light a fire under our folks, to say, well, don't waste it. If they recognize it, use it. Register to vote. I don't go around telling people who to vote for. I mean, you have your own mind, but vote for somebody who will care about us, is my message. And because our issues are on both sides of the aisle, we need to just be together and put those candidates, light a fire under them, to say, whoa, wait a minute, what are you going to do for us? And that was, to me, a testimonial about us, that it's recorded. So, I'm not just picking this out of the air. It's easy to forget us if you don't have a voice. It's easy to forget who we are. It's easy for others to forget who we are. It's easy for those who make the laws and to say, well, they don't care. They're not saying anything. They're not doing anything. They don't have a voice. So let's just forget about them and then move on and then work with others who make the noise. If you don't really use your voice, nobody will care. Really, I truly believe that, because we have a voice. We are not just visitors here. We live here. This is where we are. This is our home. So how do you want your home to be? How do you want your home to be, affected by all these policies that are around you? So they need to understand that their voices are very much relevant. And, I always allude to this, this is like a patchwork quilt, and we're everywhere, the Hispanics, the African Americans, the gay lesbians, but we are very much here, and we have a big patchwork out of this whole tapestry, So we can easily be torn off and replaced by somebody else if you don't have a voice. And I say the future is now, because we need to embellish what is now and just move it forward. In the future that I talked about 10 years ago is now. And we're making waves. We're being recognized. We are so much part of this infrastructure in this state. You know, if we just talk about the state of Nevada, we are in every segment of the industry that's here. And it's a proud time for us. It's a proud moment for us, and more people are speaking up. In universities, I hear now Filipino American organizations sprouting up. I hear now that, for example, the new director of education and nursing at UNLV is a Filipino American. So, those kinds of things are happening, and we need to shout it out. The superintendent of education is a Filipina. Yeah, those kinds of things. And, there's also some education that we still need to trickle down to our community for them to be able to use and be proud of. But, our bright future is now. And we just need to, keep the lights burning and keep the sunshine coming to us. And and we'll be okay. We'll be okay because we have fought hard to come to this point in time.